Hello, I'm talking to Leahanne Hobson. She is a secret shopper and she's been talking to a lot of service providers about what they do right, what they do wrong, and she's got some very interesting ideas on how you can improve your business, how you can sell better, how you can stop losing customers and things like that. So, Leahanne, tell us the secrets.
Gladly, John. Thank you very much for having me here today. And I am very interested in speaking and getting to know the IT Europa organization better and your community better. So I'm here to talk to you about how you can stop losing buyers. And I make a very clear distinction between customers, who you already have and you already love, I'm sure, and buyers. Those people who have attempted to purchase from you, may have wanted to purchase from you, may have even started to purchase from you, but for one reason or another, they didn't, and they left your buying process. So we've done a tremendous amount of research through running our Secret Shopper program globally. And so we've done this for over 700 different companies. And what I'd like to share with you today is some of the good things and some of the not so good things about what it's like to buy from you. And I can say that because we buy in the IT and telco world, and I know that you are from that community. And I know that you are also companies that are very concerned with having a superior customer experience. And the whole reason we started this program with companies like Microsoft and Motorola Solutions and Xerox and many others in the community is that they wanted to see whether or not there was a correlation between improving customer experience and revenue growth. This was something that the McKinseys of the world and Forrester and Gartner had all come out and talked about early in 1915. And many of our clients wanted to know, is this true? So when we started to run the Secret Shopper program and we started to evaluate not customer journey, which is what customers or what companies see the journey as being for them, or let's say the ideal journey you would like to take your prospects and then customers through in order to give them really good quality and best-in-class service, but rather the buying decision in the moment to purchase or not to purchase and why, and can that be measured? And once we found that we could do that, we saw very, very clear expectation and clear correlation between the experience and the growth. And to do that right, you need to get in touch with what do buyers want and what do they expect today. And with things that are changing in the world, that's a constant moving parameter, but it's something that is very, very important to keep your finger on the pulse of and to make sure that you're looking at from the outside in, not always from the inside out. So let me give you a little bit of research. We've taken a subset of the 700 total secret shoppers that we've done, and we've taken 550 of them that are in your wheelhouse, so to speak. So really focusing on selling services and software. And what we found is of those 550 possible purchasing opportunities, 86% of those companies are losing sales opportunities. Pretty impactful. 14% of them only were able to get a deal. 40% of them our buyers would not have purchased from at all. And then there were some gray spaces. 20% were able to be found by a net new buyer, which is really important. They don't know you, they don't know your company, can you be found? And then 26% of them were able to be found. So their front end, their go-to-market, their marketing is working. They're pulling those opportunities in, but they weren't able to close the deal. So what we're finding is that of that 550 group of subset of secret shoppers, 66% of them were not able to be found. And this is because they are lacking the proper digital footprint. This is not just to do with SEO, it has to do with the entire digital footprint, which I'll talk about in a bit. 60% of them are also unable to close. And this is not a people issue. It can be, but more often than not, it may be a technology issue or a process issue or a leadership issue, directional and strategic, that the company has decided to move in or not articulated that they want to move into. So let me get into some specifics that focus on these numbers. If you want to check yourselves, you can get a secret shopper and you can get over 160 to 190 different parameters of your sale evaluated. You can look at everything through the buying process to purchasing, onboarding, customer service. But here are a couple of things to just check and see whether or not you're doing them correctly. And if not, you might want to take a deeper look. On the marketing side, make sure your keyword strategy is tuned. This means not just search, but it also means the words you use in social media, the words you use in social selling, the words on your website. Next thing, make sure you move from social media to social selling. Move social from being an intern or a single marketing person in your organization that is responsible for posting things to having it as something that everybody in your organization uses, LinkedIn, for example, and uses it to sell. Thereby, the goal of it should be inbound processing, getting opportunities to promote yourself, opportunities to hand in a proposal, opportunities to get involved in a selling situation, opportunities just to give your advice, opportunities to recruit and hire. Turn your social media and the funding you're spending on it into training to do social selling, get the entire organization working for you, and make sure that your entire digital footprint represents that content, that approach, those keywords. Lastly, on the marketing side, word of advice. Most companies we look at, even in the B2B market, have very bad websites. Many are out of date. They are focused on technology versus on business outcomes, and they are not necessarily speaking to the types of buyers that you want to attract today. So really look at best practice in content, but also in design. Today's buying experience, as you all know yourself, is all about the experience. What does it look like? How quickly does the website react? Are there things on the website that really catch my attention and make me want to go deeper and learn more about it? These are the things that you should really make sure that you're doing. And if you need to take a bit of learning from the B2C world, there's nothing wrong with that cross-industry pollination, as I say. On the sales side, master the due diligence process. We call due diligence that first call that you happen to have with a prospect. We've done research in Office 365 and Azure buying experiences, and we found that sales reps that nail that first call, that get the right questions, that find out the right information and establish the right level of relationship with that buyer, if they do that on the first call, 86% of those calls turn into deals, closed business. And that is consistent. Second, make sure you are different. There are too many cloud companies in the world. There are too many Azure companies in the world. Create a differentiator. What do you stand for? What is your DNA? Why should I come to you? Why should I buy from you versus your competitor? Make sure that that's clear and make sure that it's clearly articulated, not only on your website, which is now part of your sales process and your sales team, but also within your proper sales team itself. And that means chat, and that means web forms, etc. Make sure that your prospects can reach you through multiple channels. You cannot rely on knowing from your customer journey map exactly which channel a prospect wants to reach you on. Today, I may feel like using a telephone, and tomorrow, my phone may have been lost, and so I'm using my computer and want to use email. You don't need to know what my preference is at any given time as a buyer, but what you do need to know is that all of the channels leading to you work and work efficiently. And then lastly, on the sales side, make sure you create a very understandable and relatable offer. Make sure it is easy to understand by somebody who is wearing a management hat or a CEO hat versus just someone who is wearing an IT hat. Solution mapping, really important area, cross and upsell. Make sure, first and foremost, that you are creating these maps. If you have a subset of companies that you want to move to a different, that you want to cross and upsell or move to different solutions, then make sure you think in advance. What are the add-on services, solutions, software that I can add to that to get them to stay with me longer? How can I start that at the very, very beginning on the website, in my sales conversations, and make sure that plan is clear and it benefits not only you, but also your buyers and customers. Lastly, on that point, make sure that you have those cross and upsell motions clearly articulated from the beginning of your sales process to the end of it. And that it is not only working to keep customers longer, but it's also working to delight your customers at different phases while being profitable for you. And then the last point I want to touch on for learnings is proposals. These are really, really important. Many of the proposals that we see happen to be very technical in nature and therefore not understandable by non-technical buyers. Take a look at your proposals. If you don't want to, let a secret shopper buyer take a look at it for you. Compare it to others. Make sure that there is a professional document that represents what you stand for in your company, that it has customer case studies, that there is a why buy from you section, a value proposition. Take a look also, are there tools out there that can help you get proposals done quicker? Are there tools or viability studies that can be used in order to get you into a strategic conversation faster than normal or than your normal run rate? And make sure that that document is as professional as possible. We still get proposals as emails, and we get them unbranded, and we get them in many, many other ways that we should never see proposals as. In addition, 2/3 consistently of those buying experiences that I talked to you about, where we go through the buying process and expect to get a proposal, in 2/3 of the cases, we do not. Meaning that company has lost the business for one reason or another after having invested sales time and proposal development time. If that's happening in your company, I suggest you'd want to know about it. I'm sure you'd want to know about it, and I'm sure you'd want to fix it quickly. And we would recommend that would be the first thing that you fix as well. The last thing I'm going to mention today, the last free tip I will give you, so to speak, and this is going to become more and more important as we look at what's happening in the world economically and also with the pandemic and just the changing buyer demographics. Trust. Trust is going to be a top issue for buyers, and you need to make sure from the very beginning of the buying experience until the very end of it, and as they continue working with you as a customer, you're building trust. And there are so many things that companies are doing today unwittingly to dissolve that trust. We go to many websites that do not have the proper security policies on them. Buyers don't want to go to those websites. They have fear, they have angst that something will happen to their computer. That reduces trust. Throughout the buying process, on the website, in what is said, in proposals, in various materials that are on the website or sent in a buying process, companies make commitments because they want to do the right thing for customers and for buyers. They make commitments that they're going to do certain things. And when we follow up on them And when we test them, we often find that the processes are not in place or the resources aren't in place to actually make that happen. So companies regularly promote what I say are trust detractors. So find out if that's happening in your buying process. Be diligent about making sure that if you say something, you actually make it happen, and you can make it happen. And that is one of the top level themes that we would recommend that you pay attention to. 2 examples of success with doing secret shopping. One on the right-hand side here is Brentwood. Brentwood sells walkie-talkies and other radio equipment, and they have taken their secret shopper and actually moved to improve their sales team and make sure that they are giving their sales reps constant feedback on the buying process so that they can build in and get their feedback as to why something might have happened, be that positive or negative, and how to go about fixing that. So they actively engage their sales reps in being part of the team that delivers the solutions to what they find with their secret shoppers. And they've just kicked off a really interesting sales social selling program as well, which you may want to start taking a look at. Wirehive, on the other hand, is quite interesting. They are a non-traditional partner for Microsoft. They used to be a marketing agency. They then added Azure and became a super agency, and they have their own distribution channel right now in order to sell Azure through the channel and make those marketing agencies even better because of what they can do with the analytics that they pull for their clients on their programs. They also embrace secret shopping, and they made a lot of changes that took them from good to even better and allowed them to sell faster and start engaging with their customers and their partners in an entirely different way than they were before, closing deals faster, being more relevant, making their value proposition clearer. Just because you participated and spent the last 15 minutes with me, I'd like to offer you 2 things. One, contact us. We're happy to have a 20-minute conversation, free of charge, about your particular buying journey and where it may be working, where you might want some advice and support on how to improve it. And we've also created a research paper called Vienna Calling, which is where I'm based, and it goes through some of the top line activities of what we found in our research, both on the positive side and on the negative side, and some other learnings that you can take with you. Contact us, we're happy to send those to you. Thank you very much, John.
That's great. Lots of insights there. Just a quick question. Based on your experience, what's the single biggest mistake that service providers make? Is there anything that they've changed after doing secret shopping that stands out?
Yes, I think that they begin, 2 things actually. One, they stop thinking about the technology and they start thinking about the prospect as a person, or the customer as a person. And to wrap around that, I would say it means that they stop thinking from the inside out and really start thinking about what's happening out in the market, and then how can I pull that inbound and move to close that inbound in a way that makes prospects and makes customers comfortable and makes them trust us. So it stops being a paper exercise, if I can say, that combined with a lot of activity and a lot of really hard work, but narrowed down and focused on the business instead of looking out and looking at the opportunity. And Secret Shopper allows you to start taking a fresh look at what's really happening in the market and how you're perceived in it.
And you also mentioned building trust. Now, I've seen this as a longer term issue. Is there any quick fix to building trust?
I think it's a second minute our daily process, but I also think it's something that you have until you lose it. So there are a lot of companies out there that are very happy and very willing to invest trust or assume trust until something happens that makes them uncomfortable. So the goal would be in checking and evaluating and trying to figure out ways to be as transparent as possible in your buying process. And because we've looked at so many different companies, that we know there are lots of different ways of doing that. And once somebody starts thinking that way, they also come up with a lot of ideas on their own.
Mm. Yes, okay, and finally, in this extraordinary year, what's changed for customers and the relationships?
Yeah, many things. I would say in general, people are less certain. They're uncomfortable. A lot of people don't know what is happening. To that point, though, there are a lot of high points and a lot of success in certain industries, IT and telco being just two of them. What is different, though, is we went from a world where it was important to know what customers and buyers thought of you, and you could measure that with NPS scores, or you could take customer sat tests. But companies felt that things were relatively predictable. Today, they feel that nothing is necessarily predictable anymore, and they need to meet customers on their terms because it's much more competitive than it was. Expectations are much higher than they were, and they need to make sure that their traditional sales processes expand beyond face-to-face. And many companies, even up until 6 months ago, were heavily reliant upon face-to-face. And whether COVID-19 continues or how long it continues isn't really the issue. The issue is now we're used to being serviced and buying digitally and verbally on the phone, and not necessarily needing a face-to-face meeting anymore. So if your sales reps really excel face-to-face, but buyers don't necessarily want or need or can meet with them face-to-face anymore, you need to make sure that your process works using other channels and other sales strategies. And so now's a really good time, if you haven't done it yet, now's a really good time to make sure that you're prepared for that. And not just for pandemic reasons, but also that's what buyers want now.
That's great. Thanks very much, Leahanne.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll edit that down a bit, but if you go back to your first slide, then we can just do a 30. Yeah, just to record a 30-second trail for what you're going to cover. Okay, so I'll introduce you. Okay, I have Leahanne Hobson here, who's a secret shopper. What are you going to be telling people at the summit?
I'm going to give you all the secrets, or many of the secrets, that we know from over 700 different buying experiences around why MSPs are losing customers today. And we're going to give you some in-depth ideas and results of our experiences as to what it is really like to buy from you today.
That's great. I think that's probably all we need now. So thanks very much for that, Leahanne. And
you're welcome. Are you okay with it? Is it?
Yeah, there was a little bit of echo on there. I'm not sure why, but I'll have a listen back, and if there's any problems, we can either edit it or come back for a quick, minute or so on that. But no, I think that covered the ground.
Okay, good.
Good.
Super.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.